Hey, welcome back to the Unstuck Movement. I am your host, Rob Z. True testimonies of breakthrough is what we do here on the show. And today we have the incredible Lidia Axe with us. And Lidia, I like to jump in right off the bat with a powerful question. You know, through chaotic times in our lives, when we're trying to grow, trying to rebuild, turning to your network is crucial. One of the most powerful things that you can do. And you've built a model around turning to your network called the trust framework. Can you tell us what the trust framework is and how leaning on your network has helped you incredibly in growing your business?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Happy to be here. Absolutely. Look, last 8 years, I've been through a lot. Me and my family, my businesses transformed. And what I realized looking back recently, that every time something happened, I lose a job and I need to find a new one. I moved countries. I need to, build my business. I moved countries again. Every time I use the same method, right? So I've been using it all along. So what I did recently, I just realized and more kind of templatize it. And the trust framework is basically turn into your network to borrow trust from relationship that you already have, so that they introduce you to people who can be your clients, who can be your employers, who can be your partners, and anybody else. So basically, this is the borrowed trust kind of framework, because you know that people who hire us or who buy from us, like clients, these people who like, know, and trust us, right? And it takes time to build that trust. So what you can do to fast forward, because sometimes you need a job very quickly, or you need to get clients very quickly, rebuild your business, pay your bill. What you can do, you can borrow that trust through using the connections that you already have, people you know. And all of us, sometimes people come to me and say, I have very small network. That's not true. You don't realize that you know a lot of people. Look back, and I know I'm 48 years old. Yes, I have big network. Your previous colleagues from your jobs, and a lot of us change 2-3 jobs. Well, look back, those are your ex colleagues. This is your network. Courses. I don't know about you, but I'm a sucker for learning. So I've been to thousands of courses, and every course, I try to be social. I try to connect with people. Go back to them. Go back to those communities, groups, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, individual connections. So your kids, well, I have 4 kids. So with every kid, there were classmates and there were parents of their classmates. My network, my very conservative estimate is 3,000 people, of people who like really know me. I think for people who somehow know me, that will go beyond. And now multiply. Imagine if minimum those 3,000 know at least 100. So your network is 3,000 multiplied by 100. Imagine that. It's unlimited. That means that you're not limited by the network. You're only limited by your willingness to
Yep.
totally messed up with that word, but your resilience and desire and your courage to just send them a hi message, a very human message saying, hi, it's me, remember me, let's connect. And I have the whole process, how to make this very human, less awkward, and not pushy, not pitchy, not coming weird out of the gate. So that's the trust method, basically.
Good advice. Don't come in weird out of the gate. That's a good good piece of advice.
Well, a lot of people do. I don't
Yeah.
know about you. I
Oh,
receive.
in the world of DMing, oh my Lord, on LinkedIn or Facebook, there's so much. It's just
There you go.
so, and I think that's a big part of it too. And I agree with you 100%. And it's a great reminder, and it's so easily overlooked because leveraging your network is really, really powerful. Um, and I think one of the big things to remember too is the being integrous, right? So my highest value is integrity, working every day on being more integrous. Definitely fall short on a regular basis, but if you've built integrity into yourself and other people see you as having integrity, they're going to be more likely, if you send them a DM, they're going to get back to you, right? You send them a text, you call them, you ask for help, they're more likely to help you because you've been somebody who believes in reciprocity, you believe in working hard. So I think before making sure that you're the kind of person that somebody would want to get back in touch with, right? Because some people are
Absolutely.
like, whoa, the past was not good, so I don't know what the future is going to hold with this person. So being somebody of high integrity, building that network is so important. Great advice right off the bat. So before we go any further, I want to pause just to welcome everybody to the Unstuck Movement. This platform is to help you get unstuck personally and professionally. I've been stuck in my life, Lydia. I know you have also, and I love helping people find breakthrough through true testimonies of breakthrough. We're sponsored by the Connected Leaders Academy. Make sure you check out connectedleadersacademy.com. Over 500 heart-centered entrepreneurs from all over the world helping each other grow. And also the Pro Podcaster Academy. If you're somebody who wants to launch your own podcast, you're not sure how to, you want to build your network, make incredible personal and professional connections, become the authority in your space, make an impact on people's lives. And if you already have a podcast, how do you streamline that? How do you monetize it to make it a functional part of your business? I'd love to help you with that at robzwentz.com with the Pro Podcaster Academy. Today with us, Lidia Axe, a business coach, entrepreneur, and EMBA graduate, helping coaches build authentic and financially thriving businesses with a decade of business experience and a mission-driven heart. She teaches how to grow sustainably, even through chaos. And I want to let the audience in on your story also. Speaking of chaos and working through that sort of thing, you mentioned earlier that you've been through a lot. Can you go a little bit into that been through a lot and that journey that's brought to you where you are now?
Yeah. Okay, I'll try to give a little bit of a condensed version. So I'm a coach. I've been a coach since 2017, right? Before, I had a great corporate career. I did my executive MBA from London Business School. I was a CFO of a huge company, but it didn't feel right. I was like, I think I hit the midlife crisis, and I'm like, I need to do something that more meaningful, that more purpose driven, that actually I enjoy doing every day. And so I moved into coaching. I found coaching, I discovered it, I fell in love with it, and I became a coach for actually women going through the midlife crisis, just like me. And I actually wrote a book about it in 2019. So everything was going great. And I had a great audience, built it, the Instagram, about 35,000 subscribers, Facebook, very active, all organic clients coming to me. Great. At that time, we moved to Portugal, and it was, all planned, all very, not chaotic. But then things started to unfold. First, the COVID hit, and it was a shock to everyone, right? So I'm not different from anyone. It was difficult being in a different country. We just moved. I'm a very social person, you can guess. And being isolated, being in another country, not speaking the language, and it was
you're also
tough.
married 4 kids, right? So
Yeah,
big family to be moving around.
big family. So it's a plus, but also a lot of folks to take care.
Yeah.
as a mother of a big family, I had to take care of everybody. And some of my kids, they were good with the move from Russia to Portugal. Some actually struggle a bit. The stress of the move was too much for them on the mental health. Then the COVID hit, so it was a double stress. So some of my family members, my kids, didn't take it too well, so I had some difficulties. I was still connected to so I was still having my coaching business in Russia remotely, right? Social media, thanks to the internet and Zoom, it actually spiked. My business spiked because people were lost. People were they needed more support, and that's what I provided. I did during COVID, starting April. I did every day Instagram Live for 120 days in a row. I just go on 1 hour live stream, and in the morning, for me it was 6 a.m. In Russia it was 8 a.m. 2-hour difference, and we would dance, we would meditate, we would journal, we would share. I just supported folks who were lost. And it gave me meaning. It gave me motivation for me to stay strong and not to break down.
Yeah.
So it was okay, but it was already a lot. And then COVID stopped, so things started to slow down. But then the war started. The Russia-Ukrainian war started. That was the major hit, although I wasn't in Russia, we left Russia, but I felt responsible. I felt like I haven't done enough to prevent it. I felt like, oh my God, who am I? And the most difficult part was that a lot of my clients in Russia, or some of my clients, I don't want to say a lot, but some of my clients in Russia were supporting the war. And I had a major value clash. I'm like, how can I be a coach if you support this? So it was the first kind of, after the COVID, it was the next, I wouldn't say the first, the next hit. I struggled for a while. Like, I would post things, and I use social media, right, to promote my business. But I was, like you, integrity and being true to myself, being authentic was always one of my top 3 values. So I would post what I think. And then I got a lot of hate back, a lot of backlash. And we just started to, impact me so much. So
Sure.
in the end, I just closed my business altogether. I just decided I just can't continue. I cannot. It felt like a landmine. Like, you don't know the next client coming onto your Zoom, what they're going to say. They're going to say, Putin is a great guy. And you're like, sorry, we have to stop this coaching session.
That's how somebody starts a coaching session out.
No, they wouldn't, but it would come up. Like, I thought it wouldn't, and I tried a few of them. So you try to stay neutral, you try to stay out of politics, but it doesn't work, because they're like, oh, we're living in the greatest time of all. I'm like, why? And they're like, well, because what's going on? And then they would start saying how great it is for Russia that they decided to go to this war. And you're like, oh my God. So anyway, I just couldn't handle it. And I'm not saying, I don't know, was it right? Was it wrong? I just, at that time, I couldn't handle. And we also, at that time, we were on the visa in Portugal. And because we were Russians. Oh, I don't know, probably still are Russians. It was frozen. For Russians, the investment visa was frozen. So no visa. I closed my business. My husband resigned because he was still working on the Russian companies. So no visa, no job. And kind of no understanding what's going on next. And because of my Jewish roots, we're like, okay, we definitely don't want to go back to Russia, right? My kids, I have boys. At that time, they were 19, 21, and no, They were probably 17, 19, and 21. So if we go back to Russia, they would go to the war. I'm like, well, definitely we're not going that. So we went to Israel, 2022, summer of 2022. We went to Israel, not by choice, but honestly, we didn't see any other place to go. And I'm very grateful to Israel because it has a lot of Israel is a special place, if I can put it politically correct, but it's very immigrant friendly. All right. So like even compared to Portugal, like I loved Portugal as a nice place to live, the food, the nature, the ocean. But in terms of the immigrant friendliness, they're very low on that scale. So Israel, the opposite. Because Israel is the immigrant country, it was much easier, and people I knew, a lot of my friends, Russian friends, moved to Israel. Anyway, fast forward. So it took us a while. Again, stress for everybody, kids, us, and and then we settled, and we're like, well, okay, what do? We need to find jobs. We need to pay the bill. Israel is very expensive country to live. And yeah, so I found a job through my network, obviously, remote job in the US. I still work there, kind of part-time, half-time, and and then the war started. So yes, we've been through a lot.
Yeah.
So once we settled down, we're like, okay, so finally, we opened the bank account, and you found where to buy things. You kind of know where things are. You're orientated. You find a job. You find, or my husband found some consulting project to pay the bill. So we kind of breathed out. And then the Israeli war started. And since then, it's like how you call, the
snowball?
No, it's not a snowball where you have to go through the one hoop and another hoop and another hoop.
Right. Yeah.
The thing where it's just one challenge after another.
Right.
So it feels like that. So starting from I guess COVID is like, it feels like there's a challenge, there's a small breather, and then the challenge, and then the small breather, and then another challenge, and each one is like different. And you do, sometimes I'm thankful to COVID and then the first challenge, because it prepared me for the next challenge. So I'm not coming totally unprepared, but every time you're like, is there maybe a time where the breather can be a little bit longer?
Yeah.
I guess that's my story.
Yeah, I would feel the same way. My goodness. And before we started, I was just my heart goes out to you and your family going through all those different challenges. At the same time, I think the resiliency you've probably built up through this, right? The fact that you guys ended up in Israel, your husband gets a job, you get a job, you get your coaching business back on the ground, or off the ground, and start to build that back up. Just showing, I don't know, I'm just hearing you saying that is like what most people would just give up. They'd be like, well, whatever, I'll just go get a job somewhere. We'll live day to day. And I'll put these dreams of this thing that I built off to the side for an indefinite amount of time. Who knows how long? So I really want to touch on that resiliency. Where does that resiliency come from for you to decide, you know what, there's been these roadblocks. Obviously we keep getting built up, setback, but I'm going to keep pushing through. How do you find that resiliency? Because that's something that people, who don't even go through those kind of struggles, they run into one roadblock in their business and they give up, So talk a little bit about that resiliency inside of you, and what that looks like on a daily basis, practically pushing through those obstacles.
All right. So I think there are two things, and they might be a little bit surprising, but I'm going to share, because I've been thinking about it. I've been reflecting on this. So one is, you know, every time the new challenge comes, like the only way I found the motivation to take it on and go through it with, with energy and with, with, I wouldn't say fun. Fun is probably the wrong word, but with determination. Like I consider it as a bonus level. And I wrote a post another day on LinkedIn. Like I think I'm lucky. Like I, some people live through very boring life. Well, actually, someone up there decided that I am strong enough to go through bonus level and maybe a few a few of them.
Yeah.
So one thing that helps me to go through it, not with the like, oh my god, yet another one. No, that's not the attitude that I go through it. I go through this, okay, well, it means the next one, I'm going to learn something that I'm going to help other people go through because I've
Hmm.
been through that. If I haven't been through so many difficult situations, my kids' mental health, moving to another country, rebuilding my business, second time, enter a new market, because my first business was Russian market, Russian speaking market is completely different. Now I'm focusing on international market. So every time going through this challenge, I'm not doing it with the attitude like, oh my God, not again. I'm going through this. I'm going to learn something so that I can teach my client, or I can share, I can mentor my client, I can inspire my client. So I don't know. That's the mental, that's the mental
Yeah. Okay.
attitude that helps me to go through this with optimism, right? Versus the my God, not again, right?
Yeah. I love that because that gives you purpose too. It's like, well, what would be the reason for going through these things if I wasn't going to help somebody else with them? And one of the main things I talk about in this podcast is making your mess your message. And it can become a cliche statement, but it's so true because what's the reason for having a mess and going through a mess other than to get through it and help other people prepare themselves if they're, because everybody's going to have a mess either now or in their future. How do you prepare yourself for it so that when you go through it, you number one know that you're not going through it alone. Other
Yeah.
people have gone through equally difficult things or more difficult things, and helping people navigate that journey is everything. I just had a conversation yesterday. I've gone through a divorce and now I'm remarried, and a friend of mine is getting remarried, and his soon to be wife is bringing on two kids into his family of two kids, and he's experiencing all of these different things that I've already experienced over the past couple of years. So I could speak directly to his situation, and
Mm.
it was so life-giving for me and for him because I knew he was looking for guidance in certain areas that I was able to provide. Like, it might not look exactly the same for you, but here's exactly what I went through, and here's exactly what I did, and here are the positive outcomes that came from that, and here's how I grew from it, right? And I believe that's it too, is like having that mindset, the framework. I think you kind of said it a minute ago, and I'm always looking for themes in this show, by the way. And the theme I heard
Mm.
you say there is, it's not oh no, it's okay. What can I learn from this, right?
Yeah.
And you might say you're gonna say oh no at first, right? Like there's a period of oh why not again, dear
And
Lord.
I'm not searching for this actively. Like I'm not saying give me more,
Right?
right? I'm
Yes.
not saying I'm that kind of reckless, but if it comes, I have zero control. Like I only can control how I feel about it and what I think about it. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm focusing on. That's what I decided. We have a choice. I learned a long time ago. I was naming myself a happiness coach, right? I was so obsessed about finding what happiness is, and what I learned, and I still believe that happiness is a choice. So here is the same. We don't choose. Um, well, we don't have a lot of choice, but we don't choose what comes our way often, right? Our kid gets sick. We didn't choose that. but it's a given. The only thing we can choose is, what do I feel about it? What do I think about it? And what I do about it. And that's this is my attitude.
I love it. It's so, and it's so easy to get off track when something difficult happens. It's so easy to just throw your hands up in the air, and I'm honestly, that's what I do. When something goes wrong, I usually throw my hands up in the air at first. I might throw a little bit of a fit, and I give myself the permission to do that. Like, I can throw a fit. I'm allowed to do that, but then regroup and get back on the horse and keep going. Right. So
I call it a 10-minute pity party. So
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
allowed to have 10-minute pity party. Lydia, why on earth it's happening to you? I'm the worst. This is, I'm the unluckiest individual in the world. I'm gonna collect all the wars in the world. Like 10 minutes. I can moan, I can bitch, I can do whatever. 10 minutes, I'm allowed to do it. And then, I'm back. Okay, so what's next? I'm back into the active, what do I do? What do I think about it? What I do about it? What I can control. Focusing on what you can control, I think is the unlock to going through those difficult situations.
Yeah, I love that. A 10-minute pity party. Let yourself have it. You're gonna have and there will be a breakthrough from that 10-minute pity party. Don't let it go on forever, but you'll have a breakthrough from allowing yourself to get all that crap out, because it'll give you some sort of revelation of like, oh, okay, here's where I need to go. We're gonna pause real quick for the sponsor of the show and shout them out. When we come back, though, I know you help coaches in what they do, and I want to talk about things that coaches need to stop doing today. And I think this applies to everybody in life, because if coaching is, you're helping people, you're serving people. And I think everybody in their life, if they really think about it, the highest version of themselves is the person who wants to serve and add value to others. So we'll talk from a coaching perspective. What are those things you need to stop doing today in 1 minute? Are you struggling to make consistent, valuable content for yourself? Do you want to have an efficient and effective way to create content that attracts the people that you want to connect with in life, the people you want to build relationships with in business? Do you want to be the go-to authority at what you do, at what you're great at? Would it be helpful for you if you had a platform that connects you to incredible people in your industry? The kind of platform that gets you leads and lands you clients without you having to beat down anybody's door or blow up anybody's inbox. Whether you're already creating content or you're desiring to start and it's something that's been kind of burning inside of you for a while, I urge you and encourage you to check out the Pro Podcaster Academy. Get started right now. Join the waitlist at robzwentz.com.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world globally. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, join the Connected Leaders Academy today. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JASCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
Lydia, as coaches, what do we need to stop doing?
Oh, where do I start?
What's the big one? Because there's always something that is an overarching theme that everything else kind of cascades from,
Okay. I had a webinar to ICF folks about a few days ago, and I told them 7 traps that coaches fall into, what they should stop doing. But the one that's created the most tension, the one that people the coaches confronted, is selling coaching, selling hours. Nobody wants coaching. Coaching is not a thing. It's not a car. It's not a it's not a fuel. It's not something people understand, right? Is the medicine. What you need to sell is the outcome. And I got so much resistance from that. Ooh, we have to be ethical. We cannot guarantee. I'm like, hold on. I'm not telling you need to guarantee result. Nobody can guarantee, even consultants, even teachers. don't guarantee. It's unethical. I'm not asking you to do that. But stop selling coaching. And you can start from you can actually drop the coach from your name, and that created a lot of tension, right? When people ask you like, hey, Rob, what do you do? Or hey, Lydia, what do you do? What I say, I don't say, I even drop, I'm a business coach. I call myself a business growth warrior these days. But even drop that, that's a fancy name I put on my LinkedIn. When people ask me, hey, Lydia, what do you do? I say, I help coaches build financially thriving coaching businesses. How about that? Who? I help who? With what?
Mm-hmm.
So solve what problem, reach what goal. So I think this is the first thing coaches need to stop doing, drop, forget about the tool. Nobody care about the tool. When you buy, and my famous example, it's not mine, I've heard it a long time ago at one of the marketing courses. When you buy a hammer, you don't need a hammer. You need a picture on the wall, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Forget the picture on the wall. You need a hammer, you need nails, and you need to put the nail on the wall and put the picture. But you don't need, you don't need a hammer in your house, right? It's not the need. So trying to sell the hammer would be difficult, right?
Without the
Unless
need.
There you go. So you need to identify the need, what this person either struggling with, and it's always two sides of the same coin. There is always a pain and the goal. So pain and the pleasure. These are two motivators. In our life. So we're either struggling from something, not either. We do struggle from something, and we want something opposite, right? So it's two sides of the same coin. So I think coaches need to stop selling coaching, selling hours. I'll sell you 10 coaching sessions. Okay, what do I do with them? Do I put them on the coaching sessions? How it's going to help me? No, forget life coach. It tells me nothing. I'm a life coach. Okay. I don't know how you're going to help
it's almost like, and I hear exactly what you're saying. It's almost, and I've fallen into this trap, and the trap is feeling like saying you're a coach is almost, it's like you feel special by saying it. This is what I fell into was, oh yeah, I'm a coach, and it makes me feel like cool that I can say that, but it doesn't really mean anything to anybody unless they actually know what I do and they need what I do. And my mentor always said to me, never sell anybody anything. You create a buyer, which is what you're saying too. You create a buyer by listening to what people need, where they're stuck, and you can solve that problem. So you never sell anybody anything. You create a buyer or you don't. So yes and no are both good, because no is like, well, you don't need what I have. Yes is also equally good because that you're going to be able to help them. But getting through all of that minutia, right, is really important. And I think the biggest, like you're saying, the biggest problem is trying to sell. And this, I like this also to be applicable for anybody who's not a coach, anybody at all, like just friendships and networking, right? Nobody needs to be your friend. Nobody needs to.
Right.
Give them a reason why they would want to be, because you're somebody of high integrity. You're somebody who you're adding value to people's lives. And if you're a valuable person, that can just be that you listen well. Usually it's a situation where you listen well, you're helpful, you want to help, and you connect with people. And so that is like a fundamental mindset shift. And I love that you're saying this, because for me, this is, in my business, the disconnect has been, I know who I am as a person. Like I know my value, I know my worth, I know why I have great people in my life. And then taking that over to business, I can get confused because I think I have to be, quote unquote, a business person, and I have to act differently and think differently and persuade people. Right. And that's not what it is. It's if you're and this is why I love coaching so much. If you're an authentic, really good person who really is desiring to help and serve others, that means you're doing the same for yourself, which means you're going to be learning constantly. And you're going to be learning how you find breakthrough, how you help yourself. So you're naturally going to be able to help other people. I don't know. That's not a fully fleshed out idea, but I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and let me throw one more. You mentioned it a little bit, but I think this is the second one that coaches, and not just coaches, I think this needs to apply to everybody. And actually, this one thing that I believe my MBA, that I paid shit ton of money for, worth it, because what I learned there is I learned something about selling. There are so many coaches like, oh, I hate selling. I'm bad at selling. So you need to drop that. And not just coaches, but everybody. If we look at selling, we need to just completely change the way we look at selling. And I did it, and I'm so lucky because I did it 2012. I just realized, and thanks to my professor, that we sell every day. Every day, each of us, and coaches in particular, if they detach what they think about selling and they apply to this label, if they look at this differently, and I tell you how to look at this, they will understand that coaches are the best at selling, because the best salesman is the one who asks a lot of questions, identify the need, and offers something that's going to complete that need, right? So I think selling is service.
Yeah.
And if coaches stop thinking about selling from whatever movie they watched or whatever bad salespeople they met in their life who were just trying to shove stuff on them, if they detach that and look at selling in completely different perspective, they will realize that it can be easy, it can be fun, and it's actually it's actually how they improve the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all about helping people. And if your goal is, oh man, I want to go out and help some people today, that's really what I'm looking for. Because it's in life, we find what we're looking for, whether we realize it or not. That's what our reticular activating systems, it's like built for that. It's like we identify what we want or what we find valuable, and then we look for that thing in everything, and you start to recognize it everywhere. So if you're looking to make, if you're looking to sell people stuff, then you'll find every opportunity to sell, and you're probably gonna. I guarantee and I know people who they're in sell mode 24/7, and I can't wait to get away from them. I'm like, please, I can't right now. I just want to have a conversation. And then
but you don't need to be that way.
Exactly.
You don't need to be that way.
Because then people who just want to help. Right. And so any situation they're in, they're looking for an opportunity. How can they help? And you love those people. You love the person who comes over to your house and like helps you do the dishes. And they're like, no, I just want to, and they do things for you just for no reason, just because they want to help. That in general, and that's not, of course, as a coach, that's a great trait to have. That's a great trait to have as a human being. That's who you want to be, as somebody who just wants to help, because it builds you up and it builds others up. So I love that so much. It's really, really good. We're coming to the end of this episode, but I want to help you promote what you're doing and get people to check out what you're doing. Obviously, your website is below here, getitdonecoaching.com. Great name, by the way. I'm surprised that wasn't already taken as a website.
Yeah.
But you have a weekly newsletter, Thriving Coach Sunday. People can sign up at getitdonecoaching.com/newsletter. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? The value that you're adding, why people should check it out?
No, absolutely. So I try to come every Sunday, and it's either a story or some practical tips for coaches, consultants, helping professionals, solopreneurs. Honestly, sometimes it's very broad, because I've been through many of them, and some of my clients are like yoga teacher or a baker. So digital solopreneurs, I try to keep it relevant to coaches, but the newsletter is practical, and I even try to give kind of in the end some like how can I apply it today? Because one of my, I told you I'm a sucker for learning, going through courses, but what I realized, knowledge is not valuable until you put it into practice. So my newsletter, I try to keep it very practical. I try to keep it short. These days we are bombarded by information, and I try to give you even the kind of how you can apply it. So, please come, please subscribe. I'd love to have you around.
Yeah, I love that. And it's, there's so much information out there. There's so, like you said, giving people practical, short and sweet, right to the point information. That's kind of my whole purpose too, is I love conversations. I love connecting with people, but I love when somebody is very straight to the point, practically, here's what I did, or here's what to do this thing. And we don't get enough of that. We get a lot of fluff, right? And fluff is not helpful. It might be helpful for like inspiring you, but I want like the real thing. I want like, here's exactly what goes down. So that's very cool. Make sure you go to getitdonecoaching.com/newsletter to sign up today. Lidia, it's been wonderful talking to you. God bless you and your family. So I just wanted just to say that I'm praying for you and your family over there in Israel with all going on. Really glad we got a chance to connect. I've enjoyed this so much. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we sign off?
Whatever comes your way, again, in kind of the theme of what we discussed, whatever comes your way, try to find a perspective that's going to be helpful for you, right? Think like Rob, you said, each of us, will get a curveball or a few in our life. So you got a choice. You've got a choice. What do you do with it? And, try to see a better perspective that's going to be helpful for you, for your family, and a bigger society, bigger, more people around you.
Yeah. It starts with you and then starts with your family. So that's a great place to start, and a great perspective to have on that. Thank you so much for your time today. Another true testimony of breakthrough. Until next time, it's the Unstuck Movement.